Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to build an extension cord that I think every shop should have. The idea here is when you step on this pedal, it'll connect the hot wire on the outlet to whatever you have plugged into it. This kind of extension cord is really helpful if you've got something that requires two hands for operation. Let's say you're using a bench grinder where you need two hands to hold the part, or maybe you're using a bandsaw where you've got to push the material through with two hands, or using a parts washer where you're using one hand for a brush and the other hand to move the part around. This allows you to turn it on at the push of a foot switch, and even more important, turn it off as soon as you move your foot off the switch. Let's go build this. To make this extension cord, we're really going to need two primary things. We're going to need a foot switch, I'll open that up here in a second, and some extension cord. This actually, it says 6 foot, but it's a 2-pack, so it's 12 feet, which is about right. I don't want something really long because this is meant to be just kind of an extension at the device that I'm using, whether it's a bench grinder or parts washer or whatever. This comes with a cable gland. We'll take a look at see how that's used in a little bit. And then we've got this foot switch. And for the price, this is a surprisingly nice one. I deal with industrial stuff fairly often, and I'm surprised a lot at the quality here. I think it's aluminum. Feels like aluminum anyway, some sort of a cast aluminum. And it's got a good contact switch in there. The only problem that I see is this hole for the cable gland. You can see this is supposed to screw in here, and then our cable goes in here. But if you look at the size of this cable, if I'm going to have an in and an out, we're going to have a real hard time doing two of these in through this cable gland. So we're going to have to come up with something there. Either put in a second hole for another cable gland. Don't really know how thick that wall is. The other option is to have a Y outside here and run just the hot wire that goes in through the switch and back out. But then we have an external problem where we've got wires that come out of this jacket and go through here. And so we've got a place outside of it where we've got potential for things to get in there, and it just doesn't look as good. Ideally, we'd be able to run two of these in and deal with all of the splitting inside of here. But first, let's take this apart and see what it looks like inside. So it's got a really nice contactor in there. That should last more than enough cycles for what I'm doing. But again, it'd be nice if we had an inlet here for two cables, and then we could do all of the, tying them together inside. I actually think I'm going to drill and put another cable gland on this, just because I can't see putting it any other way. It's going to be ugly if I have it external. It is worth noting on this, let's flip it around so we can read it, 15 amp is what this is rated to. So we don't want to try to drive something that's a 20 amp with it. It's not going to be an issue for what I'm using it for, but keep it in mind. We also have normally open and normally closed. I guess I can flip it around here for you. So NO is normally open, and this is normally closed. So when the pedal is up, this is connected to this, so normally closed. Normally open, this is going to be open right now. When I push the pedal, this and this will get connected to one another. So these are the two that we're going to use in this case. If you had something you wanted to turn off or cut power to when you pushed on the pedal, you'd use this one. I do have another cable gland. The only place that I see to place it is probably right here. Over on this side, we're going to either be cutting into this boss, or it's going to be interfering with this one. Over here, we then have to figure out how to run the wires all the way around the switch. So if we come in over here, we've got a lot of space here to work. So I'll come in right here, and then we'll tie them together and then hook them up to the switch. Now we need to cut the ends off of these. It's important that you cut the female off of one and the male off of the other so that you've got everything you need to make a full cable. Rather than building an extension cord from SO cable and ends, I'm using an existing cable because it's got these ends on them that are already molded, so it'll help keep debris out of these plugs and I don't have to worry about sealing them. Once we have them cut, we'll put the cable gland nuts onto here. And then you just slide it through the gland. There's a little bracket down in here, a clamp that's kind of in my way. So we'll have to take that out so we can get that cable through here. And with that out of the way, we can slide this cable in. Pull through, enough to give you some room to work. You can always pull it back through afterward. And I'm going to tighten this down just a little bit so it's not flopping around on the cable. If I can get the thread, there we go. Now we'll do the female side. Once we have the cables in, we're going to strip the jacket off of them. And we'll cut these down a little bit. Strip the jacket off of those. And then we're going to crimp these together. Make sure you already have the heat shrink tube on the wire before you crimp. And then shrink the heat shrink. Next, we're going to crimp on some eyes here on these hot wires. And then we'll attach them to the switch. Common and normally open. Then we'll tighten down the cable gland nuts. Alright, now we'll close it up. Plug it in. Let's hook up a light here for testing. Now, push the switch, and we are good to go. And there we go. Our extension cord is done. That's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.